It was a sunny day in Portland. Things were fun and gay. We were all just doing our own thing.
Hey y'all, Joefer here, the cranky old gay guy. Welcome to Hell, the October edition. Oh, a lot has happened since the last time I did a Greetings from Hell. A judge ruled that Trump overstepped his authority in subjugating National Guardsmen to then deploy them to Portland, and it's been put on, I believe, a 14-day hold. In celebration, the protesters and average citizens came down to the ICE Center and they were chanting in the streets. And what happens? As soon as Trump loses, word goes out and they wait till dusk. And then he sent the agents out into the street to harass, to push, to shove, to pepper spray, and take in protesters. That's right. They're detaining them. For what? For standing in the street, for chanting, for protesting. I'm going to show you a couple videos here. Now, I did not shoot these. I was not at the protest. These are from a person that is on Reddit, and they upload a lot of protest videos from Portland. I'll give you their name or their handle in a minute. I want to make sure they get credit for this. However, I've also seen the same video on other poster sites, so I don't know who took the original video, but it's out there. And everyone really does need to see how the ICE agents are abusing your average citizens who aren't doing anything harmful. They're not attacking. They're just there, and they're being beaten. They're being gassed. They're being thrown to the ground. They're being dragged away. And it makes me cranky as hell that they get away with it. I would like to see the state police move in, and we have these people on camera doing these things, these agents. I'd like them to arrest them because they have violated laws for assault and abuse, and they've also violated the protesters' civil rights. Okay, let's get to it. On Saturday night, after the ruling came down, ICE agents moved on the crowd. They lobbed tear gas, said they pushed, they shoved, they dragged them away. And you'll see in this video right here how violent it was. If you'll notice, the protesters being dragged away, they're not doing anything. They might be trying to help another protester who's been knocked down, but they're not doing anything. And most likely they will be charged with resisting an officer. That's pretty sad stuff, isn't it? How would you like that to be you or someone you know or you care about? Your grandmother, your mother, your sister, your brother. Just standing there, protesting. They're practicing their civil rights. They have the right to free speech. And then the authorities crack down on it. This is what gives police officers, I'm not saying the police are the ones doing this, but this is what gives police officers a bad name across the country. It only takes a few to make fools of themselves and break the law, and all of them are seen that way. And it's the same with ICE agents. ICE agents, uncover your face, talk to people. When you grab someone off the street, don't do that. Why can't you just talk to them and arrest them like a civil police officer would and walk them away? Show a warrant. You can't just say, oh, they're on a list and I have a warrant for them. Well, you need to show the people that you're grabbing, you need to show them the warrant. You need to show that it's been signed by a judge because that's the law. And every time they do this and it's not, our state police needs to take those officers and arrest them. I don't understand why that's not happening. State police, stand up to ICE officers. What they're doing is illegal. Next up, we have failed everyone's mayor, Rudy Giuliani. And what is he doing? Well, he's doing the talk show round, and he is bringing Portland into it to support his right-wing agenda and the Republicans' right-wing agenda and Trump's right-wing agenda. This morning, I watched this. It's a Newsmax interview. I want to get this right, so I've written down some things. Rudy Giuliani not only said that Portland, is the hellscape, but he also said that it was seceded, or it had seceded from the United States, which is not true. It said that Antifa was running the town. It is not. It said that Antifa was directing all the protesters and causing all the problems. Once again, incorrect. The problems are being caused by the ICE agents going out and confronting protesters and pushing them around when it's not necessary. No one was attacking their building. No one was burning anything. They were in the street and they were chanting. And they were celebrating that the deployment of National Guard troops had been postponed. He also says that the Portland Police Department is now run by Antifa. Why? Because some guy named Nick came out to the protest, who is a big Trump supporter, and he got arrested by ICE. And he stated that he knows this to be true because Nick, as well as Andy Ngo, and he said 10 other people that he knows, all infiltrated Antifa back in the BLM days. So he knows this is true. And that Nick should not have been arrested during this protest outside of ICE. And he wasn't arrested. I don't think he was arrested yesterday. I think he was arrested earlier in the week. And he's complaining that because he's a MAGA supporter and he was there just as a reporter, that arresting him means that the police are corrupt. Okay, in Rudy's own words, Portland is now a socialist city. Portland protests are run by Antifa. Nick, the conservative reporter, was nabbed and arrested by ICE and the police. That means that this is a setup. It was all a setup, of course. And then Antifa runs the police department. Now, that's BS because Antifa doesn't really exist. Antifa is a name given to anyone who was initially, everyone I think should be Antifa. because that just means anti-fascist. But when the fascists come in, they rename the civil protesters as Antifa, and then the right-wing media goes crazy on that, and it says it's this big old movement. Well, Antifa has no leadership. Everyone who is against fascism is a member of Antifa. Okay? So the only people who are actually against Antifa, if you think about it, are the fascists. Everyone else are against fascism, so they are Antifa. But Antifa as an organization, regardless of how many times the right wing says it's not a cohesive clubhouse with a leader. Now, Rudy also suggested to the Newsmax news anchor lady that New York City should pay attention and they should start running clips of what's happening in Portland to go against Zoran Mardani. I'm sorry, it's Zoran Mandani. They would like to, he's saying that if they were smart, the Republican Party, they would be running ads against Zoran and stating, see what's happening in Portland? If you vote Zoran, this will come to New York City. It's a scare tactic, and they're only going to show clips of violence. There was some violence during BLM in 2020. And I'm not going to say it's justified, but it was 3 blocks, and they made it sound like the whole city's on fire. And these ICE protests today, they're going to show videos of that. That's not even a full block. That's just a building and the surrounding neighborhood. And the protest it's in 1 block. The city's not on fire. I was out and about yesterday. The city's not on fire. It's not burning. It was kind of sunny and nice. Okay, this next piece is from the New York Times. It is an article that states the West Coast version of Zoran Mandami's campaign is playing out in Portland. Socialists on the city council say the city has been run by the rich for too long. Zoran says the same thing in New York City. 4 members of the Portland 12-person city council label themselves Democratic Socialists. Now, the New York Times writer is trying to put this across like that's a bad thing. These 4 people advocate raising taxes on the rich, just like Zoran does, having a government-owned housing agency so rents don't increase just because market values go up. Again, Zoran thinks about this the same way. Opening city-run grocery stores to keep prices down and make sure that everyone can get food and eliminate food deserts. Again, something Zoran has mentioned in his speeches. And this article makes all these things sound like they're horrible. Horrible thing to say. And universal preschool for everyone, which has been in place since 2021. It was voted in, I think, in 2020. The New York Times article here, they're against that too. And they say that this is what Democratic Socialists love. Well, again, I don't see a problem with universal preschool. The tax is already in place. It's a steady tax. Do I want to pay taxes? No, but I'm paying taxes. Everyone here is paying taxes. And now kids get to go to preschool. None of the things I've mentioned, the raising taxes for the rich and everything, have been implemented. They haven't even been brought up as to be voted on in the city council because the city council has stated we want to take a slow and steady approach. We want to research things. And we know that we represent everyone in the city. So it's not just what our interests are. So these were just their thoughts. They haven't happened. No one's moved to make them happen. So the New York Times is making it sound like it's a done deal and that these Democratic Socialists are destroying Portland. They're misleading you. What the 4 Democratic Socialists have stated is that the current administration that runs the city, before they came into office, it was, we had a mayor and 5 city council members. The mayor made the decisions. Council persons were given different categories. Lots of arguments, lots of backstabbing, lots of underhanded deals, lots of, I know a developer, so he's going to get the contract kind of thing. So they are stating that the establishment is out of touch. which it is. And they refuse to cede power to a younger generation who are more focused on the poor and the working class. And that is true as well. The wealthy influencers in Portland don't want a city council that looks out for the poor because they don't want their taxes to go up. And I'm not talking about your mom and pop grocery. I'm talking about the millionaires who have businesses that are multi-million dollar businesses in Portland. They don't want to pay an extra 1 or 2% to help out people who are suffering. There's that. Now, the system I just mentioned, in 2022, there was a vote that increased the number of city council members from 5 to 12. So they would have representation in each, and then they broke the city up into districts. In the past, it wasn't like that. You were just running and you didn't necessarily live in the district you're representing. You just kind of were in charge of everybody. And it wasn't efficient. So they've also moved to ranked choice voting, meaning that you get to pick a number of people that you want, first choice, second choice, third choice. And if your first choice doesn't have enough votes to make it to the primary, then those votes are rolled into your second choice. So your second choice goes on. It's more of a parliamentary system, I might add. I don't want to say parliamentary because it's not. But it's a system that allows better representation. And it's much like the presidential race. If we had ranked choice voting, I could vote, I want Bob for president, and I want second place to be Susan, and then Rachel and Gary. So if Bob doesn't get enough votes to make it to the primary, all my votes would go to Susan. And if Susan doesn't make it, all of them would go to Rachel, and then on down the list. And that way you're not throwing your vote away. Blue states have an issue with this in that you just want, you want a blue Democrat in office, let's say for Senate, but you don't necessarily like who the candidate is, but it's better than the alternative Republican candidate who's too far to the right. So it'd be nice if we had ranked choice voting for senators as well. And that way we would get someone in the Senate who isn't old school to the point where they're not progressive enough to move the state forward. Okay, when Trump states that this is a war-torn city, it's bunk. All the things happening right now are in a one-block area outside of the ICE facility. He mentions things burning and things. He's looking at old videos like George Floyd riots. So he's crazy, okay? Someone needs to talk to him. When Trump says that he knows so many people who've moved away from Portland because it's a hellhole. My friends have moved out. Well, I'm going to read something here. And this is also from that New York Times article. And they talked to Jordan Schnitzer, who is a billionaire philanthropist. And there's the Schnitzer Performing Arts Center and all that downtown. And they had a champagne gala at their theater. I'm not sure what it was for, but it had something to do with business in the city because the Times article made sure to mention that there weren't very many social democrats in attendance. Okay, the word is out. This is what's going to be all over the lefty talking points for the next several days or weeks. Portland is seceding from the Union. Portland, yeah, just the city is seceding from the country. That's per Rudy Giuliani. It's being socialist and run by an Antifa police force. That's what they're going to be talking about. Even though it's all bull, they take this and they run with it, and it goes to America One News, AON, Newsmax, Fox News, all the conservative influencers online, the conservative podcasters, and the conservative newspapers like Epic Times. They're all going to be talking about this stuff. Mark my words. The citizens of Portland have dared to defy Trump and his illegal actions. And that is what has brought all of this about, this whole left-wing smear. They're trying to get around the ruling of the judge who said you can't bring the troops here. So they're trying to cause a lot of fear in the public, and then they're going to instigate a riot because they want this to happen. Now, Jordan Schnitzer, who is a local billionaire and philanthropist, he echoed concerns over New York City's Mr. Mamdani, his proposed tax on millionaires. Schnitzer was quoted in the New York Times article that many of his wealthy friends had left Portland in recent years, which he feared was harming the local economy. So when Trump says he knows a lot of people and a lot of his friends have left Portland, these are the people he's talking about, the rich billionaires who don't want to pay their fair share in tax. Okay, this next video is pretty disturbing. It is of a woman and I think a man standing next to her, and they are talking to ICE agents, and the ICE agents are telling her to shut up and get back, and she's just questioning them, and another agent comes up and sprays her directly in the eyes with pepper spray. This is a violent video. It's horrible what happened to her. Use your words, not force. That's my motto. You know how to talk back. Instead, you hire these dummies. Not saying they're not smart. I'm saying they're dummies who don't know how to talk with their words, and they are trained to be physically violent.
Because what? His megaphone?
Who is talking to you? No. Hey, this is the line that they created.
Get up. Anybody got some saline? Saline, please. I need saline. We have some saline. Medic!
I can't breathe!
Medic!
I can't actually breathe!
Again, state police, where are you? This is on video. Move in, arrest this a-hole who sprayed this woman in the face for speaking up. Arrest him, put an end to this. Why isn't this happening? Tina Kotek, Governor Tina Kotek, call in the National Guard on your behalf to stand up to ICE. Yeah, don't let them grab people off the street without signed warrants by a judge. Don't let them attack protesters like this. The violence is unnecessary, it's illegal, and you as the governor of the state is the only one that can really stop this. So please, stop this. Okay, that's all I got for you today. I'm Joefer, the cranky old gay guy, and I am very, very cranky today over all of this because it's all unnecessary. It's giving Portland a bad name. It gives me a really bad feeling inside, and I don't get why the government, local government, okay, this has all made me very cranky, but I'm going to leave you with a closing thought. And this is directed to Governor Tina Kotek. Where are you? Yeah, you filed a grievance. You won a 2-week extension. Why aren't you calling in your own National Guard here in Oregon and having them go down and stand around the ICE facility to prevent ICE agents from attacking civil protesters? Why aren't you sending National Guard troops along with the ICE agents when they go out to pick people up and make sure that they aren't breaking windshields, they aren't breaking arms, they aren't knocking people down, and that they're only approaching people who they have a legal warrant for that is on paper and is signed by a judge? This is something that you can do. So why aren't you doing it? Okay, everybody, stay cranky, my friends. Stay cranky. See you another time. Bye-bye.
It was a sunny day in Portland. Things were fun and gay. We were all just doing our own thing. Some of us went out to play. Then there was a ruckus, a noise that could not be unheard. An ICE agent breaking a window and doing things that were absurd. They're grabbing people off the street with no rhyme or reason. Unless your skin is lily white, you'll find that you're in season. The citizens of Portland, of course they are enraged. They march in the streets in Portland and come in every size and age. But ICE doesn't care about your civil rights. It doesn't care about the Constitution. They'll blind your eyes with pepper spray, then leave you wandering in confusion. I thought this was America, the land of the free. But the men who are in power, they don't want it to be. They want the man at the top to become a king. They all line up to kiss his ass, and then they kiss his ring. What can we do about this? Is protesting the only way? I implore our Democratic governor to speak up and have a say. She's in charge of the Oregon Guard. Why can they not protect us now? Make sure our citizens aren't attacked. Show ICE what's right and don't bow down. Now I say, in closing, no one wants a civil war. But if our government doesn't change, we'll have one knocking at our door.